Hello, beautiful, beautiful black people. I hope that all is well in your world and this day becomes a very, very good day for you and all of your wonderful, wonderful black loved ones. Beautiful black people, if you do not know, then the content of this audio presentation will enlighten you to some degree. It is time for all of us patriotic Americans to pull out all of the resistances to this fascism that the Republican Party has been hiding incognito for the past 60 years, for the past 6 decades. The Republican Party have hidden their real intentions is to evolve, implement, and bring to fruition a state of fascism, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. And in the era of Trump is the tool that the Republican Party needed. Trump is the tool that the Republican Party created policies for, longed for, hoped for the past 6 decades. And now they have it in the idiot white boy named Trump. It is time for the rest of us to stop it, to offer resistance to it. Do you remember when Sarah Palin came into the political arena in 2008 and turned the right wing rhetoric up to 10 on a 1 to 10 scale? Well, the leading GOP candidate for president in 2016, Donald Trump, is cranking that rhetoric, Republican right-wing rhetoric, up to 12 on a 1 to 10 scale. Donald Trump has taken it up to 12. He is leading the Republican Party into a very dark, a very violent, and a very ugly place. Let us remember a little bit of history. Let us remember a little bit of history. What Sinclair Lewis, that was his name, Sinclair Lewis, Lewis, said in the 1930s. Sinclair Lewis were way ahead of his time, but he said this in the 1930s. He said, and I am quoted, "When fascism comes to America, that it will be wrapped in the American flag. When fascism come to America, it will be wrapped in the American flag. When fascism come to America, it will sing the national anthem. When fascism come to America, it will carry a cross. It will carry a cross. When fascism come to America, it will be called Americanism. Americanism. It will be called Americanism. It is here today in August of 2020. See how the Republican Party, Trump and his administration, wrap themselves in the American flag? See how they claim how patriotic they are? See how they sing that racist national anthem? See how they support white supremacists carrying crosses and chanting racial slurs. See how they call that making America great again. See how they call that making America great again. Fascism is here. It is called nationalism. It is called nationalism. Fascist regimes tend to make constant use of patriotic mottos, slogans, make America great again, symbols, the Confederate symbols, the cross, the national anthem, and other paraphernalia. Flags, the American flags, are seen everywhere, as are flag symbols on clothing and in public displays. Fascism is here. It is the era of Trump. These fascists, fascism, will have total disdain for the recognition of human rights. You see how the Republican Party have tried to trample on human rights for the past 6 decades? You see how, in the era of Trump, human rights are being trampled on by the State Department, the Department of Justice, Trump and his administration, the Republican Party, within their policies, because of the enemies and the need for security. The people in fascist regimes are persuaded that human rights can be ignored in certain cases because of their need. The people tend to look the other way or even approve of things like torture, taking babies, children away from their parents, investigating and prosecuting enemies, people that offer resistance to what you're trying to do. Executions, George Floyd. Executions, Rayshard Brooks. Executions, Breonna Taylor. Long incarceration of prisoners and so forth. You see how they are trying to incriminate, criminalize all non-white folks. A fascist regime uses identification of enemies as scapegoats, as a unifying cause. Do you see how Trump denigrates his enemies, his non-supporters, the Democratic Party, non-white folks. And he uses those things as a way of unifying his causes, of unifying his white supremacy, believing 35 to 40% base of Americans that supports him. The people are rallied into a unifying patriotic frenzy over the need to eliminate a perceived common threat or common foe or a racial group or an ethnic group or religious minorities or liberals, socialists, etc., etc. Fascists believe in the supremacy of the military. Even when there are widespread domestic problems, the military is given a disproportionate amount of government funding, and the domestic agenda is neglected. Soldiers and the military services are glamorized. They are commanded to bring force, to put down, to kill their own American citizens. It began when Trump used the military, when the Republicans used the military to put down a peaceful protest in Washington, D.C. It advanced when Trump and the Republican Party used unarmed mercenaries, murderers, assaulters, criminals to beat, to arrest, to intimidate peaceful protesters in Portland, Oregon. Fascism is here. It is the era of Trump. There will be rampant sexism in a fascist regime. The government of fascist nations tend to be almost exclusively white male dominated. On the fascist regimes, traditional gender roles are made more rigid. Opposition to abortion is high. You ever wondered why the Republican Party offers so much resistance to abortion? Well, now you're beginning to see the light. They are trying to create a fascism regime. They are trying to make sure that white babies are not aborted. That is the intention. Fascist regimes have much opposition to abortions. Fascist regimes are homophobic. Trump is homophobic. Trump is homophobic. Trump is homophobic and anti-gay. They are creating anti-gay legislation and national policies as we speak. A fascism regime will want to control the mass media. They will want to control the mass media. They will want to establish their own mass media. They will want to establish their own. They will want to denigrate the free press. They want to have their own lopsided mass media, likened to Fox News, likened to Fox News, likened to Fox News. They will appoint their own spokespeople and executives. They will enact censorship within the freedom of speech access that we have. They do not want freedom of speech to exist, especially speech that offer opposition to a fascism regime. They are obsessed with national security. They are obsessed with national security. Do you see how Trump has denigrated national security? He does not believe in it. He has denigrated it. He has wiped them out. He will call national security information fake news. In a fascism regime, religion and government are intertwined. In a fascism regime, religion and government are intertwined. The government in a fascist nation tend to use the most common religion in the nation as a tool to manipulate public opinions. The Republican Party has done that for the last 6 decades. The Republican Party have used religion as a means to manipulate public opinion. And Trump has expanded that with a bullhorn from the White Boy House. Religious rhetoric and terminology is common from fascism leaders. Even when the major tenets of the religion are dramatically opposed to the government policies or actions, fascism regimes, fascism people still use religion as a way to manipulate public opinion. Big companies, corporate powers are protected under a fascist regime. The industrial and business aristocracy of a fascist nation often are the ones who put the government leaders into power. It is Wall Street. It is the big banks. It is the big oil companies. It is the Fortune 500s that are supporting Trump. It is those same entities that have supported the Republican Party for the past 6 decades. It is these corporate powers that are responsible for putting a fascist leader into power, creating a mutually beneficial business/government relationship, and creating power-seeking elites, my beautiful, intelligent black brother and sisters. Under a fascism regime, labor power is suppressed. Under a fascism regime, labor power is suppressed because the organizing power of labor is the only real threat to a fascist government, labor unions are either eliminated entirely or severely suppressed. President Reagan started it during his administration. He started to eliminate unions. Remember how he disbanded the air traffic controller unions? Reagan started it during his administration back in the 1980s. Under a fascist regime, labor power is suppressed. Under a fascist regime, they have total disdain for intellectuals and the arts. They don't believe in art, and they will criminalize, kill, discredit intellectuals. Fascist nations tend to promote and tolerate open hostility to higher education. Trump is an idiot. He's uneducated. He wants the American people to be idiots, to be uneducated. He has 35-40% of the white voters in this country that are idiots and uneducated because they are Trump enablers. They are Trump supporters. They do not believe in academia. They will discard academics. They will censor academics. Academics will be arrested. Free expression in the arts is openly attacked, and government often refuses to fund the arts. Trump has eliminated funding for the arts right here on this plantation called America. Under a fascist regime, they have an obsession with crime and punishment. Under fascist regimes, the police are given almost limitless power to enforce laws. Remember, Trump said, don't be so easy on the public. Injure them, abuse them, etc., etc. The people are often willing to overlook police abuses. Do you see how white folks have remained silent about the public lynching of unarmed black folks? The people are often willing to overlook police abuses and even forego civil liberties in the name of patriotism. There's often a national police force with virtually unlimited power in a fascist nation. Trump, his armed, unidentified army of mercenaries in American cities, are that national police force with unlimited power. It is happening right here on this plantation called America. We are witnessing a fascism believing regime evolving in plain sight. There will be rampant cronyism and corruption. Fascist regimes almost always are governed by groups of friends and associates, families, the Trump family, who appoints each other to government positions and use governmental power and authority to protect their friends from accountability. It is not uncommon in fascist regimes for national resources and even treasury to be appropriated or even outright stolen by the government leaders. Our U.S. Treasury is being looted every day by Steve Mnuchin, Trump, and his regime. We have a fascist regime right here on this plantation called America. Under a fascist regime, there will always be fraudulent elections. There will always be elections that are fixed. There will always be cheating in elections. Look what Putin does. Look what the president of Turkey does. Look what the president of Hungary does. Look what the president of Venezuela does. Look what the president of Saudi Arabia does. They kill the opposition. They kill the opposition. They intimidate opposition. Sometimes in a fascist regime, elections are a complete sham, like Russia. Elections are a complete sham. Other times, elections are manipulated by smear campaigns against or even assassination of the opposition candidates. Sounds familiar. The use of legislation to control voting numbers or political district boundaries, gerrymandering the districts, voter ID laws. The Republican Party has been cheating for the past 6 decades, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. They are a fascist supporting group. The Republican Party is a fascist believing group. There are no boundaries to what the Republican Party, Trump and his administration will go to remain in power. Fascist nations also typically use their judiciary, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Supreme Court, to manipulate or control elections. My beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters, we are in trouble. We are witnessing the evolution of a fascism believing regime. In the era of Trump, the Republican Party has been incognito for the past 6 decades, undercover, creating policies that would support a fascism believing regime when the right entity, the right tool, the right white boy came on the scene that could lead them, take their policies, take their belief, expand them, use them as weapons in order to further establish a fascist regime right here on this plantation called America. That's all I have on this one.